Welcome back to episode 26 of Where Hornets Walk. Thank you for joining us. This week, lots to talk about. We're, of course, reviewing that Coventry game. We're talking about this Pachetta's rumours finally dying down now. Can we finally back Cleverley? The transfer window closes this week. What do we expect to happen? And we're adding to our worst ever Watford side by adding 4 of the worst ever defenders that we've seen play for Watford. The whole team are back this week, fresh back from the Midlands, some of them anyway. Luke, Aaron and Rio are here. Thank you very much for joining us. Drop us a subscribe if you're just coming across the channel. Right, Luke, let's kick off with bigger news to talk about other than the actual football this week. Let's jump into the game first of all, though. What do we learn from Coventry? Anything?
Not too much. Again, just on the transfers, speculation that we do need players to come in. From the Preston game we had on Tuesday before we lost Barr, and we, if his injuries are going to start stacking up, and it shows the depth is not what we have. And based off what we had on the Thursday and the Friday of the sort of outrage at the club with this all rumours, which we'll talk about later, it was more of the fact that this was more important than the game itself. The players and the staff were more focused on like what the fans had at the reaction afterwards, like the clips we all saw, because I didn't go to the game, but what I saw from the clips afterwards is like we were more bothered about supporting the players and the staff on the situations rather than the game. Game itself, we didn't really turn up. It was an okayish performance. Could have been better, but we were playing a really strong Coventry side who haven't lost at home under Lampard at all, and they're starting to really club together now, and they're getting to where they should be on paper, and I feel like they will be near the playoffs next season. We've just lost to the side with better quality, and our injuries are depleting, and you can see the quality's lacking, and it's again a sign of that we need players in.
All right. Cheers, Luke. Aaron, let's come to you then for these rumours. I mean, first of all, let's go to the very bizarre statement that was just put out initially, shall we, around, we back him for the Coventry game. What on earth are the club thinking, putting nonsense like that out?
I know, and I mean, whoever okayed that, you've got to ask what PR training have they done? Because the first thing is you go to the local journalist who's asked you outright and you go, no comment. Well, that's going to really fill everyone with loads of confidence. And then after that, everyone's throwing a wobbly on Twitter, on Facebook. The fans are going absolutely nuts. I think Andrew French, the Observer, who originally asked the question, then did a poll, and it had 4,000 something Watford fans replied to it. 97% said they outright do not want Cleverley sacked. 97%. That's how much they were not reading the room. And then they come out later and say, oh yeah, he will be in charge for Coventry. We'll back him for Coventry, and nothing about after. They say, oh yeah, it's purely speculation. Well, they didn't. When Chris Wilder held that speculation, they come out and said, oh no, Chris Wilder's staying. We absolutely back him to the end of the season. There'll be no change there. You telling me you plan to keep him all along? You couldn't come and do that for Cleverley straight away. It just shows you that there absolutely was truth in those rumours. They were trying to get rid of them. I think the fact it came out to the press before anything could really be done meant that the fan reaction genuinely changed their decision. And it's nice to know that as a collective unit, as a fan base, when we do all agree on the same thing, they will actually listen to us.
Yeah. Rio, do you think actually the fans have, the first time ever I can remember, the fans have saved a manager from a potential sacking?
I generally think so, because on Twitter, I mean, lots of spaces as usual with Watford, and YouTube videos as well. Under every Watford social media post, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, people are saying back Tom. Lots of people I was speaking to, even people who go home and away most games each season, was like, I'm not going for the rest of the season if Tom gets sacked. Honestly, as Aaron said, 97% out of 4,000 people who voted want him to stay. And it's the most connected we've been with a manager since Javi got sacked in 2019. And the fact we spent the least amount in the league, multiple injuries, shambles of a summer transfer window, and don't even know if you can call it a shambles of a January transfer window because we haven't even signed anyone bar Udinese loan. But yeah, he's working miracles, and the fact we're still in touching distance to the playoffs, it's remarkable. But there was an opportunity there to maintain our push for the playoffs, but now 5 points above 15th, 7 points above 17th. We're going to quickly slide down the table. And Aaron said earlier about how they might keep Cleverley to the end of the season, so fans are more on board with him leaving or get him sacked, because I can't see us getting anywhere near the playoffs. I think it's a downward hill from now.
I mean, let's just clear one thing up there, as I've seen in a couple of tweets. You're not heading for a relegation dogfight, are you? 41 points. You're going to get at least 9 more points, Luke, aren't you, between now and the end of the season?
I think they're talking about the wrong side.
Yeah. Any idea? Okay, good.
Yeah, they're talking about the wrong side of the M1 getting relegated. Yeah, we should be fine. It's just if I'm more bothered now about top half, if that's even a possibility.
Let's have a look at some tweets. Kieran says pretty much what you've all said there. How about the club do what they should have done weeks ago and back Cleverley, like Pinocchio stated this morning. Time for actions to prove that he does. Setting him up to fail. It's been an absolute disgrace, which I don't think anyone in the Watford shirt would disagree with, would they, Luke? It has been an absolute disgrace.
Yeah, it has been. We just haven't. Well, it's just from the Pozzo's perspective of what they've been doing. It is shocking that Cleverley was even potentially going to get sacked. There's all these rumours that there was a U-turn, or this new gaffer got his his visa declines, but it was a really reliable source. I'm not usually one to sort of clutch at straws for any sources, but it was really reliable, and I think it was just ridiculous how it all came out, and all the Pozzo out stuff is, well, it's the Pozzo's fault at the end of the day, because there was banners Pozzo outside. I even saw people made like a handmade T-shirt of Pozzo's outfit, which made me chuckle a little bit. And it's really going to be negative for the next sort of few weeks in terms of at-home atmospheres. I agree. I think if we did sack Cleverley, I would have done a boycott or whatever we was going to do. I already said to myself I would not miss the Luton at home game, though. That's one I will not be boycotting. I'm just so disappointed with how it's gone. I'm just not even surprised anymore. I feel like there's so many managers getting sacked, we just sort of are numb to it. And there's another stat as well. We always complain we haven't got enough money for transfers. It was something like our second highest signing or whatever is money perspective is 20 million we've spent on sacking managers, I think, in the last 3 or 5 years. I can't remember what the exact year was, but that just shows how that's higher than Andre Gray, who was one of our record signings, who I said last week was our worst striker. Yeah.
We remember that. Cheers, Luke. Watford fans relegation says if Tom Cleverley gets sacked, and that's a big if, I think Pochetta is a good replacement, but the problems are deeper rooted than sacking Cleverley. The squad is simply not good enough. Poor recruitment, bar a couple of players, and money wasted every season. #Pozzo out. And that's what we want to switch our gear to now, Aaron. There are 6 clubs of the 24 that have yet to sign a player. Why is it then that Watford are one of those?
Because we probably have no money. I mean, this is the harsh reality. I think that the finances came out and they have cleared a lot of the debt, but they're being very frugal about their spending. And as someone said on the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes space the other day, which I totally agree with, I don't mind them not spending money if they come out and say, we are going to sell the club and that is why we're keeping our money in our pocket. If they come out and say, look, we're going to have a few years of shoestring budget, we're not going to spend much, but we are trying to sell, and that is why, then I think people would be like more understanding of it. We could probably say like, okay, that's fair enough. I can kind of understand it as long as you're not tanking us to League 2 or something. I get it. But the fact that they're still holding this facade of, oh, we're pushing us to the Premier League, that's the golden egg, so to speak. We need to get the club back there. And you're saying all these things at the start of every season, and you're backing it up with that summer we had, where I think it's like 3 of the players are even still in the squad, and then you back it with this January, which is one Udinese loan that played 12 games for Charlton. Granted, so far he's shown flashes of being all right, but I mean, what kind of signing is that? I'm not saying we need to be like Borough and Burnley and bring in big names or spend big fees. Just look at the squad right now. There's so many holes that can be plugged. Other teams are plugging those holes and they're not spending millions. So what if your goal really is Premier League football, why aren't you doing that?
Okay. Just while we're on signings, take the have we cleared up what happened there? There were people very, very confused that somehow he's suddenly become a permanent signing, and that's mysteriously no one knew about. Have we got to the bottom of that?
Yeah, so we signed him in we've been after him for a couple of seasons now on loan from Udinese, but we signed him in about. First of all, he was on trial with us in pre-season. Played a couple of games against Bournemouth. Remember, he had a stinker against Gillingham, and then we got him on loan for the rest of the season. And then the other day, it was announced he's gone on loan to a club in Austria, I think it was. And people were like, "Is it possible to loan a player that you've been loaned?" But I saw something on a tweet from Lou Orns, was quite credible. I think Gianluca Nani or something said, "Yeah, it was their mistake. They forgot to announce that we signed him." And the fact that we signed him is bad enough, but 4-year deal as well. And he hasn't even played a league game, has he? He's played one game for Fulham where he was all right first half, but he conceded a penalty after 30 seconds in the second half, and it all went downhill. But I saw another rumour about how Galatasaray after Ebaseli wonder if we've accidentally bought him as well.
It is bonkers.
I mean,
it is mind-boggling.
Yeah, no,
isn't
it just shows you how can you have a club where you have to release 2 statements to finally back your manager after saying no comment initially, and then you're forgetting to announce you've signed players. I mean, where does that happen anywhere else in this country? Nowhere. I was saying, I think we might be the most basket case club in the 92.
Yeah, up there, owners on us.
Yeah, maybe Sheffield Wednesday's owner might just take the piss a little bit.
Yeah, it could be one.
Tons of basket cases. We won't give him that. Right then. So let us know what you know in the comments. You have been doing weekly. Thank you for supporting us with those. We love reading them and getting back to you. I know many podcasts don't because I haven't got the time, but we will always reply to you if you put a comment at the bottom. And we have the last through the worst ever Watford 11. We've done goalkeepers last week, so we're now up to the defence. So we'll do left backs, right backs, and then centre backs in that order, if that's okay. Open forum this one. Anyone got the worst ever left back for Watford?
Definitely, he mentioned Rio earlier on your list.
I am gonna go with. It's up there. I'm going to say Ashraf Lazar. Yeah. I was thinking about what positions and who earlier. I was speaking to Aaron about it before we came on. But I think Ashraf Lazar came on a free, and I remember him having an absolute horror game against Luton away, and it was like the game before we got promoted, or a couple of games before. And he gave away a penalty, and we just had nothing about him. But yeah,
Blake was absolutely useless.
Thank you for not swearing as well. Right back.
Right back.
Right back.
Am I allowed to pick players from our Premier League squads?
Well, yeah, we're going back 20 years, and you've been in the Premier League, haven't you?
Yeah. Right, Alan Yom.
Yeah, that was going to be mine as well.
Alan Yom, yeah. The bloke was terrible. And then he gave it the big un when he played for West Brom against us the season after, for no reason, really. Just, yeah.
And now centre-backs then. Anyone help us out with this?
I'm going to chip in this one. I was looking at going through all our centre-backs we've signed, and we don't really tend to sign big in centre-halves. We've never really gone anywhere big there. And our biggest signing within the last, sort of 10 years is Craig Dawson. And he cost us about £5 million. And I know he done absolute wonders at West Ham, which makes me even more annoyed because he became the next Maldini after he left us. He was terrible for us under those last couple of seasons in the Prem. He was shocking for how much we paid for him. And it was even more frustrating when the player goes on and does even better, especially at his age as well. I thought he was going to just kick the bucket once he was done with us, but he went on to do unbelievable things. And I remember commenting on when West Ham signed him, saying, "Oh, good luck with him. Cheers, he's done us a favour." And then someone replied to me 9 months ago, on from it, and was like, "What are you on about? He's brilliant." Yeah, honestly, he's terrible. Absolutely terrible. He was for us.
Ballon Dawson.
Yeah, he had a run of 3 decent games in lockdown where he scored the overhead, and that was literally it. Yeah. I've got a decent shout for the other one. It's probably the oldest player in this back line now, but it would have been in the 12, 13 and 13, 14 squads. He was a bit part player, but he did play a few games in the end. Nyron Nosworthy.
Oh, what a shout, yeah.
Absolutely rubbish.
It's a stinking team, this, isn't it? Gotta say.
It really
Wait,
is.
wait till
right.
we get on to the builders.
Right, next week then we're putting most the most unreliable midfield quartet that Watford have ever seen. Help us out with that. Give us some comments so we can get some thinking caps for next week. Join us also next week because we're of course reviewing the Norwich game, which of course is up next. Am I back?
You're back now. I can hear you, but your face isn't back though.
Oh,
There we go.
it's been all right.
It's right, yeah. If you cut
it's
it
just
there
there.
and then do the outro, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's start it again.
Let's get this finished. Right, cheers for that then. Next week we are looking, of course, at the midfielders, so putting in the comments below who are the worst ever quartet of midfielders you've ever seen play for Watford. Or next week, and of course we're going to review the Norwich game, which of course is coming up this weekend. Thank you, Luke, Aaron and Rio, for your comments. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you